Call the April 9th work session of the Site Plan Review Technical Advisory Committee meeting to order. First item, we have 413 Lafayette for site plan review.
Thank you very much. Joe Coronati, Jones & Beach Engineers, representing the owners or the clients, I guess, at the Friends of the Lafayette House. I guess the whole reason to be here today at this work session was really just to find out what the goal or the anticipation of this TAC committee was on how much technical design work we had to do for this small addition. I know you've seen thousands of different projects around the city. This is a 600 square foot addition on one end of the building. All the utilities will be plumbed internally. There'll be no extension of any outside utilities. There's a slight increase of impervious coverage. It's really minor because there's some sheds that we're removing. So there's some walkways. There's impervious that we're removing. We're certainly adding a little bit of impervious coverage to this site. But we're hoping to do as little as possible. This is a nonprofit group that houses people with mental disabilities. And so it's kind of a low-end one-story addition just to expand the space for some caretaker unit space, and I think overall a very minor addition to the site. So I guess I don't believe you have a minor site plan regulation. So typically we'd have to supply you with everything: drainage calcs, utility design, lighting, landscaping, grading, drainage, the whole works. And I just wanted to, I guess, get an idea of what you were expecting at the next actual TAC meeting from our side, and we could have that ready for you. We do have one of the people that are heavily involved in the nonprofit. They have a relative that's the engineer that's done all the design plans. There's already I don't know if you noticed, but there's basically like a 10-page set of plans that basically are building permit ready. Those actually have the utilities shown, electrical. He's figured out how they're going to connect all the plumbing and the water. The utility rooms for the existing building are on the end that we're doing the addition, which is nice. So the furnace is right there, the mechanical room. So our plans are quite meager compared to this set. This guy's got every single.
So, yeah, why would he think that they're there instead of being, they probably come off the main road.
He's just connecting them internally because the mechanical rooms are on the other side of the wall that we're doing the addition on.
Yeah, no, I get that, but he's saying that there's a gas line there, and that, why wouldn't the gas lines come right off Andrew Jarvis Drive and right into the building?
Oh, the exterior ones probably do. I'm just saying the addition is only going to tap the existing plumbing.
That's not what it says. It says possible path of buried gas and water service entrance piped to meters. Coordinate with utility in advance. So that's a big deal. But if the water goes in right off the main road like it should, then it's nowhere near the addition. So the question is, where did he get his information?
Well, that's a good question.
Because I see a water service right off the back of Andrew Jarvis Drive that looks like it's going right toward the building. And power, the electric meter's right there, and that's right behind the pole. And the gas is probably in Andrew Jarvis too. But he's showing the utilities going through right where you need to dig. So,
I think the only thing we show on our plans,
well, your plans don't show it, right?
right, all right, so we show a sewer line that comes
Yep,
from kind of a random location.
without an easement.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then You're saying on the architect's plans, they shows the water line coming through the
If you
addition?
look at the plans I'm looking at is sheet A1. It says original floor plan. That's it. Right to the right where it says original floor plan, it says possible path of buried gas and water services.
Yeah, so I didn't notice that. It's good to, I think they would have they'd pick it up then and then bring it through this addition and into the boiler
It's
room.
going to change a bunch of stuff, so if that's not really there, I really have no comments on this application, but if it is there, there's a lot to do on this application, so you need to see where he got his information, whether it's true or not. It doesn't make sense that that would be where the location is, but
Coming in from
he
Lafayette.
might know stuff that we don't, so. Does this building pre-exist Andrew Jarvis Drive?
I was just wondering, like, I went to
Seems like the
I went
frontage
to
for
school
this
there in the 90s. No, it's been there. This building's from the 80s. Andrew Jarvis is, I think it's been there. I don't know who's been here longer than the 80s, but I think that's been there longer than that.
Yeah, so I would get utilities located on the site.
But we can certainly look into the, those two specific. I mean, that's what exactly, the bigger ones, I mean, utilities are important for sure.
Yes, they're very important.
Yeah.
Drainage is not important here.
That's what I was kind of wondering, was if drainage is not a major concern, then would we have to ask for waivers from things that we're not
Well,
submitting?
I was going to ask if you know if there was a site plan for the original construction. I meant to
That-
look, but I didn't have time.
That seemed to be the million-dollar question at the zoning board. I think from what I understand, there's not a site plan on file at the city.
We can just double check.
Yeah, and
Because
Stephanie, I don't know if
otherwise,
you looked at that at all yet, or if you looked
I
before the
haven't.
ZBA, I thought.
Yeah, we
Didn't find anything then.
we
right?
only looked at the prior variance history. We can look at if there's a site plan on file, though.
It was a curiosity, because it was built in the 80s. I mean, I don't know if everything in the 80s had site plans.
Much.
Really?
They were one-page site plans back then.
That you had them anyway.
Yeah.
And they're probably not very detailed then either. But I'm sure there's, I mean, I don't say I'm sure, but it doesn't, I wouldn't think there's like a whole drainage report and all of that.
right, but if there was an original site plan approval, you could request amended site plan for this.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So then it would be an amended site plan, and then we'd fall under,
I mean, it could potentially be administrative if it's pretty minor, but if not, then you would need site plan, and you could ask for waivers for all these other things that aren't applicable. But we can double check to see what we have.
so if there's an original site plan, we could file under an amended site plan. And you're saying that may or may not require even a TAC or planning
Well,
board?
it's
or-
good to come here. I mean, it's up to the planning director.
All right.
As far as if it can be done administratively.
Well, I think it depends on what you find for
Yeah.
utilities and,
Yeah.
Right, so at the very least, I want you to trace out the utilities and see which plan's correct. And then let me know.
and stormwater there's no issue with it now, the way the
So
site
it's-
drains.
no, I've
So
never-
it's like
never
a
heard
single
of
family
drainage
home.
problem back there, and it's a tiny little addition. Not
Yep.
really worried about it.
Yeah, it's tiny.
I don't think they're planning on doing much for lighting and landscaping changes. I mean, there'd be,
Yeah.
they will add a light above the proposed door, but I think it'll be like a one bulb light from Home Depot type, small, not trying to light up the parking lot. And there's a couple of shrubs they'd have to take down. That's about it.
Be nice to see those replaced, but, if you can find room on the site, or just moved.
I mean, there is room. There's, space to the north where Miss Pettis lives. So there's that whole property line could be landscape. That's why I was kind of trying to figure out what level. If it's just moving a couple of bushes, I don't think they'd have, or plants. I don't think it'd be a big concern. But obviously they're on a budget, they're trying to keep this as
Yep.
low as possible.
Yeah, it could just be relocating some of them.
So I think the next TAC deadline's in like 2 weeks. Is there any chance you could do the search before that and then?
Yep, and if you can let Dave see the utilities.
Yeah, the best bet is to get a private utility location company?
Absolutely.
All right.
We can check this afternoon, Joe, to see about what we have.
That'd be great. And then we'd at least know if I guess we'll file for that TAC either way, but then we'll know if we're calling it an amended site plan or if there wasn't one somehow, magically, no site plan, then this is a first site plan.
Right.
Right, and then it would be all waivers. All right. Yeah, if you can just let me know what to do if you find it, if it's amended, if I'd have to file waivers or if we come in under some other level, that'd be fine.
All right, you sure?
All right. Any other concerns or questions?
This is
For me?
It is. Oh, it is? Yeah, it's the existing building sprinkler. Oh, right. Sure.
I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but I would assume.
I'm 99% sure it is, and if it's not, it will be, if you do an addition. But I'm pretty sure it already is.
It was built as a housing, as like a,
I saw it somewhere. I mean, I might have gone on Vision and looked at it.
Range in there, answer system. Kitchen range in there.
Well, that's just for the one person in there, it's not.
Oh, is it? I thought this was like a assisted what exactly is this? Assisted living? or-
But this is
It's
a
like,
caretaker's unit.
Oh, okay, right, yep,
yeah, the additions for a caretaker's unit. The caretaker lives there all the time.
yep.
And then on weekends, they supposedly have weekends off, but they don't actually have another place to go. So then they have a weekend caretaker that comes in on the weekends and covers everything. But
Right.
the 5-day-a-week caretaker and the weekend caretaker literally stay in the same apartment for the weekend,
Sure.
which is quite tight
Yeah.
and a little awkward. And they're afraid they may not find any other human beings that are willing to live like that if the current caretakers ever retire and they're in their 60s. And I can't really blame them that I don't think many people would volunteer to live like that.
Sure.
And so this is to really just give them a spot to be. But if the existing building is not sprinklered, there must be a trigger at some point when you have to then sprinkler something. Is it-
Anything residential other than a detached 1 or 2 family would trigger a sprinkler, and this would not be detached.
I thought there would be like a trigger, like if you were doing an addition of a certain amount, you'd then have to 50% evaluation of the building or something.
No, that is a trigger for some things in the building code, but for residential, any new residential is going to require a sprinkler.
The whole building, though, or just the addition?
Probably the whole building, unless it is separated to the point that it can be considered a separate building.
All right.
I feel like it's sprinklered.
I just don't want to, I don't know if it is sprinklered. I don't want to assume it is and then
Yeah,
find out
it's,
they have a major undertaking.
Assessing, assessing. What's the street number again?
It's 413
413.
Lafayette.
Yeah, so according to the Assessors Department, it has a sprinkler system.
All right.
See, it is?
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I'd hate for this to trigger.
So it wouldn't even affect the calcs or anything. They would just have to extend it.
Right.
Extend it, right, yeah.
Yeah, it's only 600. Well, we'll see how big it is. It's 636 square feet, or it's under 600. I'm not 100%. The architect's plan is dimensioned from the outside of the building, and when we dimensioned it from the outside of the building, we got a different interior size of the addition.
Okay, let us know.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Okay,
Yep.
see you, Joe.
All right, next up, we have 921 Islington for site plan review and parking CUP.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hey.
Hi.
My name is Dan Brechko. I'm a real estate investor looking to move into the Portsmouth area. Been looking for a while at different sites and have found this property at 921 Islington that's been on the market for a very long time. And I think I have a vision for what that site can become, a little bit building on what's there already. My plans for the site would be to keep the gas station functional, keep the service garage functional, expand the building to add, calling it like a high-end market deli operation, and then put residences up above the whole, the building on the second and third floor. I've got, I guess this right here shows my plan. The previous 2 pages would show I had an existing site plan drawing put together by Ross Engineering. So that shows the existing site plan. So it shows the existing building there. One key to my vision for the site is to provide parking that comes in off the driveway to kind of the top right in this plan here. And there is an existing easement that allows parking to come in off that driveway to my property. And then take the building footprint that's there now and expand it to really add the market space to it. Since the current service garage uses some of the space there behind where the market would be for an air compressor, if some other storage in there would be to expand the service station to the left to add room for a little office there and to also have some storage in their utility location for the air compressor. And then, yeah, I've got all the green lines there to show what parking I feel is available on the site. And it does fall short of the requirement, which I think is unfortunately pretty standard for Portsmouth. So I'm looking for a conditional use permit on that. I have reviewed this with Peter a few times, just kind of what my thoughts and plans are on this, and I think we need to get an extension of the special exception because the gas station is not allowed in the character district
Right.
4W. So I'm looking to extend that. Also, right now there is some contaminated soil underneath this lot from an underground storage tank that was removed years ago. Right now, the full site is 100% impervious, and I'm a little bit nervous about making a permeable surface in there to get that 15% open area requirement, where we're disrupting the groundwater supply. This site has been monitored. Maybe I forget the exact site. It's on the state's website for easily 10 or 20 years or so, just about the groundwater migration. Nothing is moving underneath the site. It's all well-contained contamination. So I'd like to ask for, would it be a variance on the?
Open space?
Yeah.
Yep, if you can't meet it.
Yeah, so variance in the open space. Also a variance because I've got the parking shown here is in front of the building facade. So my goal with this meeting is to kind of look at the site plan, talk through it, kind of fully understand what requirements I would need to get variances, et cetera, from the Board of Adjustments, and then, how we move forward in terms of documentation, whether or not, again, this is a very small site, whether there's anything to be done with stormwater. I will definitely update the lighting on the site from what it is today. Yeah, and then looking at I think what's the glass coverage requirement for this? Is it 70% on the first floor? was looking at potential building facades, and I think I might need to go for a variance on that as well, because just looking at the existing garage doors, is that like a glazing only, or is it a rough opening type when you dimensionally say
It's a
70%?
percent of the coverage, right? So
actual
the
glazing.
window. I think it's the window. Don't we use this the whole window?
Yes, for CD4W, shop front facade glazing is 70% minimum. But if it's, so that would be for.
For the shop front side, not for the
Yeah.
gas station? Okay, I might be
In
able to
other
make that.
facade types, it's between 20 and 50.
Oh, okay, I think we're probably good then. I'll take a look at that.
And what's the height you have planned on this?
The height, I can pull it, I'm trying to stay within the limits. I think so I plan on putting the, I always draw a blank on that roof style up in here in New England. The
Mansard?
Mansard roof. Yep, I plan on putting a mansard roof on there with some gables, so that would take in the third-story apartments, and then I'd be within the building height limits, I think, on the mansard roof guidelines is my goal. I'm working up the elevation drawings. And then, so there's a stairwell shown on the back of the market, and that would be the access up to the second floor, and then looking at layouts to continue that up to get to the third floor. And then thinking of putting some bike lockers underneath the stairwell for the residents, and possibly some other bike parking for people in the area. This is in a fairly residential area. There's like Islington's, that commercial strip between the residences there, so I'm anticipating a fair amount of foot traffic coming in here. And then also on the parking conditional use permit, I think a lot of us, when we go to a convenience store, right, we'll park our car at the pump and run in and grab something and then come out. So it doesn't really count for parking, but I think a fair amount of the customer base at a convenience store is getting gas as well. So yeah, I'd like to get your thoughts, and then kind of go through what additional steps are needed, if you see any there's roadblocks, hurdles, et cetera.
So you had said high-end deli market, but now you're saying convenience store, which,
Oh, okay, so yeah, it's a high-end, yeah, a convenience store. So it's basically, it would be like a bakery and a deli. Not really like, there's a Mobile down the road, a Sunoco down the road. It'd be not that kind of offering. It'd be more like what you'd see like in a Whole Foods market when you go to the deli area, that type of items, as well as, bakery items. And to be prepared on site. So be on-site food preparation for sale, mostly for off-site use. But I think as you see a lot of the just to have some tables and maybe a bar area in there, just to be a little community gathering spot, and buy the food that's meant to go, but eat it on site as well. If there's some offices and stuff in the area, so I talked, well, even Alex Ross is in the lot behind this, so just whether or not they felt they'd stop in for lunch, and talking to Alpha Graphics folks next door, or just something they might do as well.
when you said tables in a bar, do you mean like a standing eating bar, or like an actual
Standing
drinking
eating bar. Yep, standing eating bar. So I think you've probably been to convenience stores like the Nuria model, where they have like a little bar maybe along the window. It is just, you grab your hot dog or something and just go sit down and eat there before you hop in your car and drive away. Yep. So I've listed here in the plan, I think 200 square feet allocated to dining. So it's like one row of tables and then the bar area. Still working up the layout for what the inside would look like. And I know if you look at it as a dining establishment, the rules as far as what square footage is allocated to parking is a little bit different, like your food prep, kind of the full footprint. But with this being more of a retail, on-site food preparation for retail sale, off-site consumption, how much of that would factor into the parking equations?
And so you mind if I keep asking
Oh,
questions? Peter? Go ahead.
ask, please.
The parking, you're going to keep the driveway, the two big wide driveway cuts that are there, and then the whole, so it'd be another, I guess, driveway permit the whole length of the property on the north
Yeah, so right
east
now,
side?
we'll call it north side, right? So right now on the north side, there's a retaining wall, like probably a
Yep.
2-foot retaining wall
Yeah, I
that
was
goes all
gonna
along
ask
that
about
wall.
that, yep.
So I would basically push that retaining wall back and grade those, that sight
Oh.
line, grade that down to the driveway level.
Wondering about that,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep,
So there'd be
So that's
the
a
wall
lower,
would be here,
correct.
would be-
Yep,
in front of the parking space?
yep, retaining wall at the front of the parking space.
So the cars coming in, have you looked at the turning radiuses and all that for this site?
I will. I wanted to have this conversation first. I looked into that. So I did look at some aerial shots. They show it's a very wide driveway cut that's there today.
Yeah.
I think much wider than it needs to be. I've looked at a lot of gas stations as I drive around, different areas and whatnot. So I'll check the radiuses. Maybe I lose that first spot there on the north side. On the south side, there are some aerial shots on Google Maps that do show 4 cars parked in that spot along the property to the south.
Well, in the first spot, you have to go through an island. Are you going to remove the island?
No,
Is that your island to remove?
no. Yeah, so the setback, most of that's in the setback, right?
The island?
This,
Oh, that there, yeah.
There.
Yep, so that's retaining wall is on my,
that's part of
My
the
site
retaining wall?
there.
This-
I believe so, yep.
Because it looks like it's off your property, too, part of it. That's
Yeah.
just something to look at, see where that...
Yeah, for sure,
Because
yep.
that looks like it's someone else's.
I'm sure that I'm looking at this wrong. So those green spaces, are those parking spaces?
Correct.
How are you supposed to park? Oh, you come in from the other side?
Yeah, there's a
Oh,
driveway.
okay, there you go.
Yep,
yeah.
so in their deed, I guess, whatever it is, right? I have deeded access for a driveway off that whole side there already. It's a note in that existing condition
So
drawing.
you'll
on the
definitely
first
need
page.
some physical protection to that egress stair, bollard, or cement, I would think that right now there's a parking space right in front of the...
Oh, sure, I'll have to set that back a little bit. I
Yeah,
can slide that
something.
back, yep,
Right.
that makes sense. Mhm.
And then you'll call out your accessible spaces, a van,
For sure.
wheelchair accessible, van,
Yep.
handicap spaces.
Yep.
You'll probably need a grease trap, right? 1,000-gallon
Oh, yeah.
exterior grease trap.
Yep.
Probably, for the volume of production, I think we could get by with it's based on sink capacity.
So it's 1,000-gallon unless you get a waiver. So you
Oh,
may get a
okay.
waiver. It's 1,000 gallons.
Construction.
Got it, 1,000 gallon for new construction, okay.
So, yeah, do you know where the gas fuel tanks are?
Yeah, I think if you scroll up to the site plan drawing, it's there. It's just toward the street from the gas pumps in northeast. So you see the gas pumps and all the circular caps there, all the manholes for the underground storage tank.
Where?
And but next to
Right
the
there,
pumps,
yep.
there's the holes.
Yep.
But where are the
The
tanks?
pumps.
Where are the,
Where's the underground tank?
It's it's centered underneath those manholes. So all those circles are manholes to access the underground tank.
how many tanks are there?
1 tank.
So does it go underneath where the fueling station is and the whole site there? Or?
Yes. No, who's got the arrow to the,
Peter does.
can I step over and grab your computer and outline yours? Laser. Should have brought a laser pointer, right?
Oh, there's one right here, right behind that computer there.
Yeah. That thing.
That was a pin.
It works.
All right. Pop that over here. Point. So this underground storage tank is, the center line of it's underneath these holes right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I got an email from the traffic engineer,
Yep.
and ideally, we want parking spaces to start no closer than 50 feet from Islington Street. Which is probably
feet.
not gonna happen.
Yeah, so 50 feet, that's the whole.
It's his comment, so
Yep.
I'm just saying it out loud.
For sure.
Okay?
Mhm.
Beyond that, because the use is changing, we're gonna require you to change your sewer lateral, which looks like it goes underneath your gas tank.
Yep.
And the water line has been changed in the city street, but that goes underneath the gas tank too, maybe? And then, I don't know about fire suppression, whether that's gonna be needed or not, but
Yeah, we talked
Islington
about that
Street's
already.
brand new, so there's gonna be
Yep.
an impact fee to dig in the street.
So
The
when-
city's gonna defend it with its life.
Yep. So when they say new sewer lateral, right, so a new sewer line was put underneath the street, and they put a T out to tap into, right, to connect to the existing service?
there's a new sewer pipe underneath the city street.
Yes.
But the existing line on the property did not get changed.
Okay,
It's likely too small to support the uses that you're asking for.
okay.
So it's likely going to require you to pull the gas tank out so that you can change the utilities. So I'm wondering whether it's worth it to maintain a fuel station there.
I'll look into that. I believe they're probably to the south of the fuel tank. I don't think I'd have to excavate under the fuel tank to get to those. Because the street, I mean, the fuel tank itself is probably 10 feet deep or so,
Yeah.
and I don't know the sewer line with it.
Probably is fine, but.
Yeah, I don't know there's, yeah, I'll definitely look into
You will
that.
be required to have a grease trap. Like I said, if you need a fire suppression system, I don't know who owns that water line that.
Yeah,
on
so,
the existing features plan, but not on the proposed site plan, but
yep.
there's an 8-inch water line going right through there.
So that water line goes to the building in the back.
Yeah,
Yep, and then my water line comes off, I believe, over here. There's a,
yeah, that's your
Water
domestic
connection.
line, for sure.
yep,
But if they're gonna require fire suppression, question is, can you come off that other line so you don't have to dig in the main road,
oh, okay.
which the city would defend with its life? Because it's brand new. We
Yep.
just paved it.
Oh, yes, for sure. So,
25 years. Yes.
and also, so there's gas. I already talked to the gas company. I can tap into this gas over here instead of having to dig into the main street to get to a gas line. I would
So
like
you
that.
have They have an easement through there so you can get.
That's, I'd have to I have to get the easement. I would need an easement, right, just to get across that driveway?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I've reached out to them several times, but have not gotten a definitive reply yet. So what's it called to dig up the street? What'd you call that?
It'd be a miracle.
A miracle.
Okay.
I request one miracle.
Yeah.
An impact fee, right? You call it an impact fee?
No, it'd be an excavation permit, but there would definitely be
Excavation.
fees associated.
But they're a miracle to even get that approved. Yeah. And then, so 1,000 gallon grease trap.
Yeah.
Since the use has changed, I need to upsize the sewer line to make sure it met the.
6-inch out in the street, and that's big enough, but you need to,
Yep.
you would need to upsize it on your property and make sure it's 6-inch all the way to the.
Yep.
All the way to the inside of the building, including the grease trap, which has to be outside too.
Mhm.
And with the residential, you would definitely need a suppression system.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I've got that feedback early on from you guys. I think Peter talked to you before. And the suppression system, that would be on all uses, service garage, the retail space, as well as the residences, or? Yeah, okay. And fire separation between the units on this, if there's 3 units?
With a sprinkler system, which is needed now, 30 minutes, but probably
Okay.
it may still be an hour between the
Between uses,
residential
yeah.
and the
Okay.
commercial.
And if there's an exit stairwell, I don't know what the layout would be. If it's not an exit access stairwell,
So is that one stairwell going to serve all 4 units?
Correct.
from the outside,
I was going to enclose the stairwell. Yep.
Yeah.
Just so I don't have to deal with weather on it.
yeah, so.
I mean, there's ways to do it, but it
Yeah.
just
Have it be
requires, a
exit
single
access.
exit requires a higher level of fire separation.
Okay, so 1 hour?
1 hour.
Yeah, that's doable.
You said 3 stories?
Yes, it'd be the main floor with the service station and the retail space, 3 apartments on the 2nd floor, and then 1 apartment on the 3rd floor. Yep.
1 hour.
So the sewer line is based on the number of units, plumbing, what are they, plumbing, what are the units
It's also
called?
local code.
Okay,
Minimum size sewer lateral 6-inch.
okay. So with a change in use, I have to do a minimum size sewer line, 6 inch to the street, okay.
And that right-of-way easement, is it just going in, or does it wrap around the back of the property too?
It's not the back, just the side. Yeah, because it's a separate property to the back. There is no easement there.
Okay.
Yeah. And the current occupant or owner of the back does use all that space. There's dumpsters back there, and they park all their vehicles along the side of the back retaining wall.
What are you going to do for solid waste? Is that going to be inside?
I was going to, yeah, I mean, I was going to, if we can't get my goal, since there's already dumpsters there that other people use, is just to partner up with them for dumpsters. If I can't, I'll just use small trash cans and find a disposal mechanism for them. Yep. I mean, there's room for a dumpster over by those other parking spots. You just have to coordinate with parking to empty those on the south side. And so to supply a fire suppression system, what size main is?
It's going to be calculated by your engineer, and this would require an NFPA 13 system.
Okay.
Because it's a mixed use, not all residential. Means it's a higher level of hydraulic demand.
So the engineer would calculate
The
back to
engineer
the
would
street?
calculate.
Okay.
The amount of pressure needed at the base of the riser, and then figure out, and volume, and then figure out what's needed for.
Probably need a test for that, right? I would think, because that 8-inch main services a whole array of buildings behind this.
You
So probably need a fire
You'll
pressure
need a
test.
Test at
Yeah.
the street. But
Okay.
But we have decent water there. I mean, we have the buildings out back are sprinklered and have a higher demand than you
Okay.
when there's- without a fire pump. So,
Okay.
I mean, it's there. The water's there.
Okay.
If there's any good news, that would be it for today.
Yeah? The fact that you guys haven't booed me out of the room is still good news, I think, so.
The building, so another variance I think you'll need is the parking is closer to the street than the building facade.
Yes. Yep.
You have that on your list?
Yes.
Okay.
What about the third
the other one?
driveway?
The third driveway, yeah, having three, I mean, I guess it's three driveways or whatever you want to call it, but it's
One driveway's not on my property. Right.
the right-of-way?
Yeah.
I would not consider that.
You wouldn't consider that a driveway, the parking on the
He has two
side?
driveways right now, and he would still have two.
Okay.
We don't consider.
You wouldn't require
we don't
another driveway
consider
permit?
the access off the private land, the driveway.
Okay. Okay.
At least the public works we would.
Is that consistent with the ordinance?
I think if it's not a driveway.
If it's not a driveway.
If it's parking on the side, then off of private property, that makes sense. As long as your easement allows for it.
Yes.
And then the other issue there is you're pulling into a travel way, so it's got to be safe. So you got to demonstrate it can be safe. And I think Eric's concern, you're so close to Islington, is there's going to be a fair amount of traffic goes in and out of there.
Yep.
Same with the ones on the other side. It's going to be tricky maneuvering through those parking spaces on the south side, and because of the people using the site.
Yep.
And the parking spaces on the north side with the people using all the businesses in the back and the
Yep.
bars and restaurant, whatever, bar and other uses. So there's a lot going on there.
So how do I demonstrate that it's safe maneuvering in and out of a parking spot? I know, like across the street, there's a laundromat that has pull-up parking spots right essentially off the street. They're less than 50 feet for sure. Not that.
Could be some
somebody
kind of traffic analysis to make sure you can make
Okay.
it work. Yep.
Tight scenario.
And probably a demand analysis as well.
Back out.
Is there one more, Peter?
Right, for the CUP, you'll need a parking demand analysis anyway.
Yeah, because you want less parking.
Yep.
Right, so in this district, there's a maximum front yard. So you have to be built within that setback.
Yep.
And so that would likely be another variance because you're
Yeah, beyond
adding
that.
on, and then but you're way outside of that front
Yep.
setback and front lot line build out.
So what would that one be called?
The maximum front yard
Okay.
is 10 feet, so you're really supposed to be between 0 and 10 feet.
Yeah.
And then the minimum front lot line build out is 50%, so you're really supposed to build out 50% of the front of the lot, of that setback.
Is there any plan for a canopy or anything over those parking spots?
Yeah, I'm looking at a very small, not like your typical big rectangular canopy, but more of like a a building, like a, what do you call it? Almost like you'd see at a porch at your house. I forget the pergola, truss, whatever those things are, where you have all the beams side by side by side. To do something like that, so it looks more like beachy, whatever, and like kind of at an angle like that. And then, so all the beams are exposed, painted white underneath, just with a flat top above it, instead of that big, huge rectangular thing, because it's not, there's only 2 pumps. I don't think there's a need to go crazy with it. That's my vision for it, I should say. Small canopy, probably should add that to the site plan.
For sure.
Did I see somewhere in here that you're looking at outdoor patio dining area?
Yes, yep, so that'd be along the backside. So there's a stair or a door leaving the market just to the left of those, yep, so that'd be to access a patio. Just a couple tables out back. Again, for that kind of grab and go, eat on site if somebody wants to.
Oh, there's a patio out back? Where
We'll
is it?
want to add that to your site plan as well.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
And you'd mentioned that's a separate permit for outdoor dining?
That might be it. Let me see.
It's on private property.
You build it right into your site plan.
It's a conditional use permit, I think, if it's on private property, depending on the zone, if it's allowed or not.
Right, CD4W. That is a conditional use permit for outdoor dining or drinking as an accessory use.
I forgot I can point from here, so yeah, thinking outdoor dining right here.
So I take it there's no landscaping on this, it's all completely covered pavement?
Correct, yep.
I don't know if there's is there a requirement? I didn't look at landscaping.
It's completely covered.
Requirement? No?
No community
CD4?
space.
There's the open space requirement,
Open space.
50%
Yeah, no.
open space.
I don't know if there's any landscaping.
So landscaping, my goal was to put like a planter kind of in this corner here, and then a planter also in the other corner over here. So kind of planters to kind of dress up this, and then something along the front here also.
Will people be able to get out of those spaces if there's somebody at the gas pump? Or on the office side, or the service station side?
Yeah, there's enough room, physical room for that.
I think it'd be helpful to show that, just so we can look
A
at the
vehicle in there with the turn
vehicle-
radiuses.
all the turning radiuses
Yeah.
for, yeah, and your gas truck when it comes in to fill up those
Yeah, 'cause
tanks, they can get in there.
my question would be where all those, on the lower, the spaces that are staggered, right?
Yep.
That when they leave, they gotta back out, and then they can
Back out
pull
here
out,
and
no
then pull out
problem.
here.
But then you
Yep.
get other folks that are trying to come in, it seems
Yep.
almost impossible to make that turn. It almost seems like that should be one way, exit only.
Yep.
This is
Maybe
not
on
the same.
paper, it doesn't do it justice, but
Yep.
I couldn't imagine someone trying to leave and come in. It'd be a very hard right turn
Yep.
to avoid any parked vehicles, let alone a vehicle that was trying to exit.
Yeah, so with the turning radiuses, and I could essentially make it one way. So you
And
put
that's-
those entry and exit, so you enter this way, exit that way.
Yeah, you should show that.
Well, you'd exit in the lower.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exit down here, so make it a
You get in-
one-way.
So you get into the space. Getting out of the space, you got to wait till someone's done pumping, or do you have enough room? Or coming out of the store, that one space, it looks like you could hit the front door of the store almost. It's so close.
Yeah,
That one's no sketchy.
Clearances are a little tight. And
Oh,
then
with
your
this one
handicap,
here.
you're going to lose some room with the handicap.
yep,
And I
Making that
think,
one way is going to be challenging too for people trying to get on the right side of the pumps for their tank.
yeah, with the pump, since you can drive on both sides of the pump, I think that allows you to come in, but, and again, I'm not this is not like a freeway station, gas station where you've got cars coming in on the regular. I'm anticipating maybe, 20 to 50 gas customers a day, nothing crazy. There's 2 other gas stations down the road.
I was just going to make an observation on the parking as well. So just on the spot, so if you have 3 to 4 new residents, let's say 2 employees for the bakery, an employee working the fuel pumps, and then an employee running the service station, and then vehicles that are going in and out for service, whether inspection or brakes or something
Yep.
like that. So there's conceivably 4 parking spaces that are filled all day
By residents.
by just employees
Yep.
of the bakery. Let's say there's 2 people working at the bakery.
Yep.
There's the guy who's working the pumps, he's at work.
Yep.
And then the guy who's servicing the vehicles in the service bay,
Yep.
he's at work. And then the vehicles coming in to be serviced.
Yep.
I just consider your residences
Mm-hmm.
and then your customers of the bakery deli. Where's everybody going to go? Would there be signage for residences?
Yeah, I'd probably label-
restricted to reserve them for people that live there?
Yep, I'd label these first 4 spots here residents only.
Okay.
Yep.
Just because
Yep.
it occurred to me with strictly the employees that are
Yeah, you could
working
fill
on
it
the
up.
property.
Yeah, and then 2
You know,
cars
you
being
might-
inspected. And
Yeah, you might have 6 cars there.
So, and that's my
Just,
point that I mentioned earlier, is when I go use a convenience store, whether, I'm not sure if it's probably not legal, right, to leave my car at the pump.
I know it irritates me when I'm waiting to get gas.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll just pull in, put my car at the pump, and then
Parking
go
space.
buy something in the store and come out and go, right? So I'm anticipating a fair amount of traffic, and also I'm anticipating a fair amount of foot traffic. Just, you've got all the apartments kind of behind this, you've got some houses, pretty close across the street. I think if somebody's gonna hop at the car and drive somewhere, you got Hannaford's down the road. I'm anticipating more of a foot traffic, and then people at the pump or shopping at the store. And right now, it's a 1-person garage, and so there's not a tremendous amount of cars. I mean, he's just not churning people through there because it's a small operation. And then there's also 7 on-street parking spaces down here in front of the Alpha Graphics.
And you anticipate having vehicles that are in queue with the owner of the vehicles not even, they dropped them off, right, and they're waiting to be worked on?
Correct, it could be,
And that would make sense that
Yeah.
when exactly,
That'd be
those
for the,
spots are right
for the
there.
garage only.
Garage
Yeah.
only.
This is the garage only, these are residents only, and these 3 here are for the market, 3 or 4.
I see.
Yep.
So you've got 3 for a market,
Yep.
and then you have 1 space on either side of the pumps, which
Yep.
is for fueling, basically, right, okay, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And then off-street parking, of
Yep.
course, yeah.
Yeah, and right now, a lot of times when I drive by, he's usually got maybe 3 cars sitting on the premises. And then in the garage base as well, yep.
Let somebody walking by.
Sounds like my dad's phone.
Yeah?
Have you considered where you're going to put snow storage?
Yeah, so probably, how does that work here? Does it normally take up a parking spot, or,
Depends on how you do it.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, where I worked before is they had a heated truck that would pull in, and they'd dump all the snow in the back of the heated truck and run out to the storm drain. I have no idea if that's a service that you get or how much that costs, but you don't like that idea?
What city was that
I
in?
don't like it, it's just that nobody does that around here.
Yeah, yep. So they had, it'd be crazy. They'd, have the heated truck in the parking lot and they have a Bobcat and plow it over, put it up, dump it in the heated truck and just wait for it to run.
Probably just remove it. People mostly remove it.
And where does it go to?
Wherever they can hire some
And
space,
does it- yeah.
private space to
So
do
you just
it.
hire a snow removal company to remove the snow?
Yep.
And then it's up to them where they put it? Like maybe they have a farm
Well,
somewhere and they just
yeah.
pile it out? Okay. All right, yeah.
Wetland, they like to dump it in the wetland.
Just push it into the river.
Yeah.
I think just dump it in, yeah.
Yeah. Well, better than Islington, I guess.
So that's something I have to demonstrate, right? I think I saw it in the site plan.
Should be shown on your plan where where they're going to push it and then how they're going to get it off the
Have a
site.
note that it's going to be
Removed from site. Yeah, it's a pretty small lot. I think with global warming, that's probably something I have to worry about for 2 or 3 more years, right?
Hard to say.
Okay.
Well, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say, it looks like you got a little too much going on the site. If you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah,
Zach,
it's a
it's a
lot.
work session, we're just trying to be,
Yep.
honest with you.
Yep.
It might be nice, thinking about a use, you might want to reduce or remove.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get a lot of variances before you come back to see us, so just,
So as far as getting the variances go, does that site plan review checklist, is that what goes to the zoning board of adjustment? No, that's for the planning board.
that's for that's for
Okay.
us and the planning board.
Got it.
The
So the-
zoning board's got its own process, you got to demonstrate,
Okay.
your hardship, why you have to have so much on the site and
Yep.
why you can't do it a different way.
Yep.
That complies.
Yeah, because
And the
land.
fact that are you tearing down the building or?
No,
or-
expanding.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the service station is staying and the building's getting added onto that?
correct. Yep.
And, just I'm sure you're aware of this, sounds like you've done other projects before, but you're adding on levels to the building? In other words, so
Yeah.
you're going to restructure it?
Yeah,
right?
I've kind of got a vision just with this whole fire thing, is I was almost looking at just doing a concrete columns and base above it, just to get a complete fire separation between.
I think you
the
mentioned
uses.
Alex Ross were you working
Yeah,
on
I've
that?
talked,
Okay.
I've hired him to do the existing site plan, but not to move forward yet.
Okay, and then when you come back here, I would assume before you go to planning board, that you're gonna need elevations at a
Yeah.
minimum,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I've got
Exactly.
elevations that I've been throwing together, that's why I asked.
And BOA too.
Yep.
What was the second one you said?
BOA needs that as well.
Zoning.
Board of
Yeah,
Adjustment,
yeah,
the zoning
yeah,
board.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I've got some elevations I've started throwing together,
Right.
and how things work, but wanted to, kind of get this session before I took too many carts on the horse. Yeah. So it sounds like the big one is just, with all the things going on the site, is to get that traffic analysis and demand analysis. It's just, does the site work with that little parking? And do the turn radiuses work to
Well,
get a
they
truck
don't-
in
they
there
don't
for
have
people to
to-
be able to pull in, pull out, et cetera?
Variances, will they need the parking? Will they care about parking at all?
They'll probably ask about it.
I mean, in terms of a traffic study? They don't
They're
have a
not
requirement?
required to give a traffic study.
Okay.
Right.
You're going to have to demonstrate, well, I guess it's a CUP for the parking, so you don't have to get a parking relief. Yeah, so that's not one of your variance requests, or your Board of Adjustment requests, so.
Your special exception and your variances go to the same board, so you could do those at the same time.
Okay.
So that's where your first effort should be.
The special exception comes from the planning board or the Board of
The
Adjustment?
Board of Adjustment.
Okay. And that's the BOA? So the BOA, I've got
Or
my.
the ZBA, depending on who you're talking to.
Zoning Board of Adjustment.
Yep.
So special exception to continue the use of the service station.
It would technically
And
be
expand.
a new special exception to incorporate, everything that you're proposing on the site,
Okay.
all the uses.
Well, just for the residential and the bakery are by right, but
Yeah, if I was,
the expansion of the service station.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I was going to just get rid of the service station, which is not allowed, and get rid of the gas retail, which is not allowed, and just do a market and residences, then there's no need for special exception, right?
Right.
But since
For
I
the
want to
use.
keep all that
Yeah.
stuff, yeah. And the main reason I want to keep all that stuff is, like, quite frankly, as you guys know, land's here expensive, right? So where's the revenue going to come from to on such a small site? It's like 0.27 acres, is where do you get the revenue to cover the cost of the project, essentially?
No, the residential dwelling units are gonna.
Yeah, for sure. I know. Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Four dwelling units in Portsmouth.
I guess here's the question, is how many, so I bounced this off a lot of people, right? And they're like, who wants to live above a gas station? How many of you would live above a gas station?
Well, it depends on the price.
Yeah.
When I was in college, or?
Yeah, I mean, I like this, if you get a studio apartment in Portsmouth for $2,800, it seems kind of crazy, but anyway. All right, so special exception because of the expansion of the building.
Motor
Yep.
vehicle service station, of that use.
And then we've got the CUP for the parking, right?
Right.
That goes to the planning board.
Oh, CUP's planning
The
board, okay.
CUPs go to planning board, yep.
And they'll review that as part of your site review approval.
Okay. And I've got the variance for parking forward of the facade, right?
Right. Open space variance, parking in front of the building, front setback, front lot line build out.
Do you put all this in minutes? Or should I be taking notes? Both.
We don't have, we don't have
This meeting
minutes.
doesn't have minutes, all right.
It's recorded.
So I
It's
can tell
recorded.
my
It's
boss.
recorded, yeah.
It is recorded.
So open space variance. In front of the building variance, right?
The front setback. Parking in the front setback, because that's a maximum.
Yep.
When you're outside of it. And then front
And then
lot
that-
line build out.
That's it. We're not building out 50%
Right.
within that setback, right?
Right. And, if you're going to have a dumpster, there's setbacks for dumpsters.
Yep.
So
Might as well ask that initially. so I don't have to go back if I'm not able to get the agreement with the folks behind me. And then for the conditional use permit, that's the planning board, and that would be for the parking, number of parking spaces,
Right.
and then also for the outdoor dining.
Yep.
When you have fully developed plans, elevations, floor plans, all of that, it would probably be beneficial to set up another meeting
No,
with
I agree.
staff to review
I would
everything.
agree, another work session, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Not necessarily a TAC work session, but a work session with the planning staff, and we can go through exactly what variances you'll need and
Oh, okay, cool. How do we set
really
those
hone
up?
in on that. So,
And I would also, planning staff, but also DPW staff, at least Eric Eby, on the traffic and the parking and how it's all, the circulation is all going to work.
Yeah.
Make sure
Okay.
he's okay with that, because it sounds like he's got some concerns and he wasn't able to be here, so.
Who's that with?
Eric Eby,
Okay.
he's with DPW.
But to go over for the variances, you could do that on Teams,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, that's your first sort of step.
Wait, I'm sorry, the zoning? For what?
When you have your, when Stephanie was saying was we have your plan developed with the elevations and everything
Oh,
on it.
Meet with you guys on Teams.
Right.
Okay.
To identify, to make sure you have all the
Got them all
variances that
covered.
you need before you go to the zoning board.
All right, sounds good. And with the zoning board, is that recommended I go there with an attorney, or can I go there by myself with that, or any thoughts on that, Russ?
You can do it either way.
Either way.
People
Okay.
do it
All right.
both ways.
Okay.
But we can, I mean, staff or other staff can help you with what they're going to be looking for, what they're going to be asking about. That's-
Yeah, I saw
mean,
they got a
through
pretty
the-
solid form to fill out and all the requirements spelled out, so.
Yeah, and the ordinance spells out how you know, the criteria they're going to be using to review your application.
Okay.
And you'll have you'll also need a lighting plan and a stormwater plan
Yeah, so for stormwater.
at some point.
Yeah. Is the stormwater plan required for this?
Yep.
Right now, it's a completely impervious site, right?
Right.
And all the drainage essentially goes to that storm drain next to the sidewalk there. What's that?
No.
Yeah, so you'll need to somehow deal with that stormwater on your site before you send it into the city storm system, which will require a permit also. But there'll have to be some sort of treatment on site. So,
Oh, really?
yep,
Okay.
Things
Is
have
that,
changed since the 60s.
yeah,
yeah, so is that something you get a variance on, or no?
Oh.
no.
And what does that treatment usually include, then? Just put a holding?
Multiple different types of ways of cleaning, but because you're dealing with petroleums, you're gonna need some sort of treatment system before it discharges into the city system.
For any rainwater coming off the site? Yeah, okay, so essentially I'm gonna have to dig a big hole.
Gas stations are very dirty.
Yeah. Yep, all right. So to put it, that's why people aren't building new gas stations in towns.
Unless you're in the big gas station business where you have 15 pumps, so you can afford all the stuff that you need.
Got it.
And once you start digging, then you'll need to know we'll need to, and probably before you start digging, we'll need to see what you're talking about for contaminated. You
Yeah.
said you had talked contaminated, to make
Yeah,
sure
it's-
DES is, we don't regulate that, but we
Yeah,
want to
DS is
know
all
that.
over this, yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
What your groundwater permit says,
Yeah,
and
they've
you're
had a
doing the
plan.
monitoring they're
They've had
requiring.
a plan with DES for a very long time in this site, so, okay.
And then lighting on the site. There's standards in the site review regs on lighting.
Last but not least.
Last but not least.
Mhm.
Technically, you're also supposed to have a landscaping plan, but I don't know
Yeah.
how much landscaping you can.
I can do
fit.
a landscaping plan, yeah, there's,
Yeah, I mean, for things you don't feel like you can do or
Boxes.
want to do, you can ask for a waiver from the planning board in the site
Okay.
review process, but the site review regs require a landscaping.
yeah. What about so that stormwater treatment, is there any way around that?
No,
No variance, no nothing, that's a locked in, gotta do it.
Clean Water Act.
Yeah, or I can put you just put a canopy over the whole site and then treat that fresh rainwater. But
Great. Put it everything indoors.
yeah, okay.
Indoor gas station, yeah, that's probably a hard thing to
They've got
permit.
it. They've got it at airports. They've got indoor fueling at airports.
Not
So,
an airport.
Yep. Yeah. Yet. Okay. All right.
Can add another use.
Airport. Maybe on top of that, we'll have a helicopter.
That's probably another variance, because I don't know if those are allowed or not.
Yeah.
So,
It's all right.
all right. Think we got it all
Probably not.
I think for now, but.
for now? All right. Okay.
Thanks.
Sounds good. Thank you all.
Right.
Appreciate your time today.
Okay.
Thank you.
For today. So Dave, they got the permit in, huh?